Homes are still devastated in Little Creek, but it's not the current damage that residents are worried about. It's the falling hillsides and the damage that could be coming next.
You know, these mountains they're big, they're strong, they're powerful, and I feel like they're starting to sort of take back what's theirs. Feels a little bit like revenge, maybe.
Landslides on Little Creek Road are burying houses with sand. If someone sticks their hand in the sand, they're bound to find a handful of coal.
There has been an unusual amount of coal, particularly after the first flood on Saturday night. We were just watching coal pour out of the mountains, pour down the stream, chunks, small pieces, like a sandy beach, but it wasn't sand, it was coal. It was coal dust.
Now, neighbors were wondering where all this coal was coming from, but just a few miles up Slaughter Creek Road, we found this strip mine. Little Creek residents are hoping that they don't have a bigger problem to contend with.
The landscape's changing every 10 minutes. It looks different every time I blink, essentially.
The elderly who live on Little Creek Road are begging for help. The Southern Baptist Convention answered their call.
The only thing that's different with this flood compared to the other ones is all the river rock and everything that ended up coming down in these people's backyard.
Many houses on the street must be gutted, walls knocked out 2 to 4 feet up.
We do what we do in disaster relief for one purpose and one purpose only. And that is to share the love that Christ shared with us when he died on Calvary's cross, and to share that love with those during their time in need.
A 50-year-old church is facing a bulldozer. What was once a parking lot is now just a creek.
It's heartbreaking. I mean, it's never going to be the same. It looks completely different. There's pieces of yards that are gone. There's pieces of homes that are gone.
With a landslide on one side and the concrete falling into the creek on the other side, the Little Creek Church of Jesus Christ has little hope that the church can be repaired.
It's a huge loss for the community and its members.
Kanawha County will be picking up flood debris tomorrow. Live in studio, Shayla Klein, Eyewitness News.
In our continuing coverage tonight, sparks fly at the Putnam County Commission during discussion over the Putnam County Animal Shelter.
Shayla Klein just got back from the meeting. And Shayla, what happened?
Well, Gina, it seems like everyone who spoke today is in agreement that the staff at the shelter are overworked and need to be a little bit better organized. But there is some debate on how the shelter can accomplish that, with several people calling for the firing of Putnam County Humane Officer John Davis.
You know, people make him out to be a monster. I'm sorry.
Because he is. The owner of the dog who was accidentally euthanized at the Putnam County Animal Shelter, Taylor Withrow, calls for the removal of the humane officer who euthanized her dog.
I think the only thing that will bring justice for me personally is if he loses his job.
Withrow told the Putnam County Commission that she doesn't think the euthanasia was a mistake, asking for information regarding the commission's investigation on the shelter.
We will be reviewing that and with our county attorney going through that process, but personnel is not something we can discuss.
Honey, you don't even know him. That's my son you're referring to. He's been a director there for a number of years, and he's a human being.
I was wronged by your son that you raised. That's disgusting.
The commission voted to create a board of directors over the shelter and is now taking applications for the board. Longtime volunteers agreed with the commission's decision, but spoke up in defense of the shelter.
It was a horrible mistake. It shouldn't have happened. We're killing ourselves every single day. I'm putting in sometimes 15, 16 hours a day. And I do it because I love my job and I love these animals.
Those who helped clean the shelter Saturday told the commission that the inside of the shelter felt like a third world country.
What I saw when I went there, I have nightmares about.
The food was moldy. We had decided to pick that up and obviously try to dump that out. We were told by one of the staff, unfortunately, that to not throw it away, but instead we would use it now.
10 kittens have died every weekend and 5 more are dead this morning.
Overall, the speakers felt hopeful that the shelter will get better with some help.
Yes, it comes out of a tragedy, but like you said, I think some great things can truly come of this.
The commission held a private executive session regarding personnel issues at the shelter, which they said that they may or may not comment on publicly. Live in the studio, Shayla Klein, Eyewitness News.
And flooding in Clay County covered roads off of Route 16 and left some families stranded.
Yeah, Shayla Klein reports for us from Nebo, where the storm destroyed one family's home.
I've been wet all day, and now my house is destroyed.
Thick mud coats Kelly Mace's floors following the flash flooding in Nebo this morning.
I don't know what you do after that. I don't know how. I don't know what's first. And I sat down and I can't even think.
Mace says she didn't even know her yard was flooding when she saw her pig swimming in the storm water.
I see my other pig hanging in the fence, but I thought she was already dead.
Luckily, Mace and her 2 pigs were not injured in the flood.
And we waited water out here, clear up our chest.
The water was so powerful that it took out a large shed in her backyard.
I've never seen water that, and it's so powerful that you're worn down when you're in it very long. Your legs hurt, every muscle in your body hurts.
The Mace family cleaning up the house, but unsure of what to do next.
You can't go inside and change clothes because when you pick your foot up to put on clean clothes, you got mud on them because your foot's muddy. Now it's like, where do we live? Where do we eat? Where do we do anything? I don't know.
Reporting in Nebo, Shayla Klein, Eyewitness News.